Hi everyone, this is Nomkosi Tolugama. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Notes from Up Head. Today I want to talk about parenting skills or parenting principles. Actually, the title that I wrote down here is Parenting with a Purpose. So I'm just gonna go straight to it. I've written like five principles that I use in my parenting, which are based in my own beliefs and my own spiritual principles as well. And I do want to make mention. I do want to make mention. I want to note actually. Yeah, I do want to make mention of the fact that I do discuss this with my kids a lot, so they are very familiar with how we do things in the house. The one that I really like, which I reflect on a lot, okay, not on a daily basis, but a lot. It's taken from the book of Proverbs 22, verse 6, and I'm just going to read it. It says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. I'm sure there are many people from my everyday life who've heard me say this one. Khulisa ingane ngendlela ezothi noma ikhula ingayishiyi. I love this verse. I love this principle. It's kind of like open-ended, if I may say, because people might ask themselves, what is that way that you can be sure, or that you can be assured of, that when the kid or when the child grows up, they will not depart from it? But obviously, if you're somebody who's a believer and somebody who reads the Bible but also believes in the Bible, I think it would not be difficult to figure out which one is that way. So basically, it's the way where you introduce God to the kids. And for people like me, would push it further to dedicating the children to God, so that there's a mutual understanding between God, yourself, and the kids of of the relationships and of where we're going and of what we made of, basically. Yeah. So it is there to you train up a child in the way that he should go when he's old, so that he doesn't depart from it. Yeah, this is not a sermon, so I don't want it to be a sermon, so I'm not going to necessarily go on and expand on that, but I've just kind of highlighted to those who might not know that I am Christian. So these principles are based on my Christian grounding, my Christian positionality, my beliefs and my values. And then the second one is okay, the second one, let me read it from here. The second one, it's taken from the book of Ephesians, chapter 6. The actual verse is 4, but I want to start on verse 2. The commandment, honor your father and mother, is the first one with a promise attached. 3, so that things will go well for you and you will live a long time in the land. 3. Number 4 says, as for parents, now it talks to us. Do not provoke your children to anger, but raise them with discipline and instruction about the Lord. So again, I like this verse, and I like this verse, and when I discuss it with my kids all the time, I start in the one that I started from, but then I take it down, and they obviously enjoy the part where it says "Yeah, ma, yeah, ma," and I think it's really fair that I discuss it comprehensively, so that I do not only kind of choose the verses which focus the attention on parents, where it's the kids who are supposed to honor us and respect us, but we also have a responsibility of not angering them in whatever that we do and in however that we do the business of raising them up. So yeah, we should be sensitive, we should be careful, we should be aware that there are ways in which we do as parents sometimes which angers children, and it is our responsibility to protect the kids even from ourselves. So there was a second one, and then actually maybe 3.1 would be taken from the book of Colossians, chapter 3. I have it opened here, chapter 3, 20 and 21. 20 says a similar thing. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. 21 says, fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. So the other one spoke of angering them. This one speaks of discouraging them, but it's the same principle in whatever that we do, particularly as we try to discipline them, which is what we have been trusted for in their lives, to discipline them. But we shouldn't discourage them in that process. So I think that's very important. That's taken from the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 21, and I think it's very related to my second point. And then the third point, the third point, it's the one that comes from the book of Luke chapter 18, verse 16. Jesus was speaking to his disciples here, and then it says, "But Jesus called the children to him and said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these.'" So this was a space whereby the disciples were almost like trying to protect Jesus from the kids, to keep him away. You know, the understanding that people had of who God is in our lives, that is an important being that can only be accessed by certain people at certain times. But here the principle is not that. God says, or Jesus says, "Let the children come to me." And so this is a principle that I use, that you must allow and facilitate a space where children do have access to Jesus. Because Jesus says the kingdom of God is for people such as these. And I believe in that verse. Jesus speaks of the purity of the hearts of the children, you know. So kids mostly and generally have pure hearts. So in that purity, it makes them have easy access to Jesus, because Jesus likes a pure heart, which is why David in Psalm says, "Create a clean heart in me, O Lord." So the principle of allowing and facilitating a space whereby the kids can go straight to Jesus, I think that's very important. Not only as in going to church, actually, for me, this goes deeper than just going to church. It's about allowing a relationship to develop, that intimate relationship between Jesus or between God and the children. And then this one, okay, it's taken from the book of Psalms 127. It says, children, chapter 3, 127, verse 3. "Children are indeed a heritage from the Lord, and the fruits of the womb is his reward." Okay. And then it goes on to say, "Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children born in one's youth." Okay, there's a version that I read earlier, which was speaking about the womb, but anyway, which then speaks of women as well, because, you know, there's the tendency to be referring to fathers more than mothers, even in the parenting business, but also generally in the Bible. But we all know the importance of the mothers in children's lives. Okay, so this one basically, I think it allows us as parents to appreciate the importance of having children in our lives, so that we don't only focus on the things that I actually touched on in my previous videos, when I say, oh, they're expensive, and also, that they, you know, they they lack discipline sometimes. But they are a heritage from the Lord. They are bigger, beyond what we can see and imagine in our lives as parents. And then I think the last principle that I want to talk of, I think I've covered all these ones. The last principle that I want to talk of, the one again which I discuss often with my kids, it's taken from the book of Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24. It reads, "Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them." So again, like, as discipline is one of the main things that we need to instill in our kids, and we discipline with love, we discipline with understanding. So I bring up this verse just to put a bigger context in whatever that is happening between us, me and the kids. So they have to understand that this is actually my role. As a parent, I need to discipline them if I feel that they are going out of the line from what I have taught them, or from what we are used to, or from what we have agreed on as a family or as a household. So I think this is very important, and I think it is important for many parents to really understand it, but also apply it, because sometimes we as parents, we love our kids. Indeed, we do. But sometimes the kind of love that we have, it's the love that wants to focus only, let's say, in giving, failing to train our kids that they also have to give to us, so that they just understand that the principle about love, that love is about give and take. You cannot only be receiving. So sometimes we fall into the trap of also wanting to impress our kids by making our relations like monetary, or materialistic. But again, if we train them early on that a relationship between a mother and a child is not just materialistic, we are here to share feelings as well. We're here to support each other as well, other than us just buying stuff that they like or that they need. I think it's important, and for me, it does speak broadly about discipline, because discipline, it doesn't only come when people have done wrong. Actually, discipline is just a general concept which needs to be applied on a daily basis, even in things like training kids to be able to do house chores. That's also part of discipline, which does not start with the wrongdoing. It starts from a parents just wanting to train the kids. And I mean, just going to the first verse that I spoke about, or to the first principle that I spoke about, which says train a child in a way that when they grow up they don't depart from it. That could specifically be talking about, it could specifically be talking about the presence of the Lord in the child's life, so that we're talking about the ways of the Lord, that we train them in the ways of the Lord, that when they are older, they don't depart from the ways of the Lord. But there are also different ways in which you could be training the kids, beyond just the ways being the ways of the Lord, but like how to handle yourself, how to take care of yourself, how to clean up after yourself. So like something like house chores. If you train them that they need to be responsible for themselves, that they need to clean up after themselves, even if you do have house help, but they still have some responsibilities in the house, that is a way for me, I would say, that I wish and I pray and I believe that when they grow up, they will not depart from that, because indeed I would have trained them. Indeed, I am training them on such ways that when they grow up, they will not depart from them, so that it doesn't become an expectation that somebody else will come from outside to assist them, but at least they will have the basic principles of how to take care of themselves. So it's discipline. And yeah, so I'm just gonna stop from those 5 points which I made. And if I may just recap, the first one was Proverbs 22 verse 6, and the second one was and that is Ephesians chapter 4, which is Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4. And the third one was when Jesus Christ was speaking to his disciples, telling his disciples that kids should not be hindered from coming to God, because the kingdom of God is for people such as these, making an example with the kids. And I said that it speaks to the purity of the heart, and I was talking about the fact that kids must be allowed to have a direct relationship with God, which doesn't go via parents, and which also doesn't go via church structures. And then the fourth one was the idea that children are a heritage from the Lord. So that is a treasure. That is a treasure to be taken care of and to be nurtured. And then this fifth one was the issue of the discipline, that if you love your child, you will discipline them. You will not be afraid. You will not be ashamed. You will not feel bad by disciplining the child. You will do it because it is something that will benefit the child at a later stage. So I'm going to end it there, and thank you for watching.